I wanted to make a video about the first version of my Kotatsu made out of scrap wood and a cheap heater. I'm sitting under it now with my legs straight out. It has a blanket, a Kotatsu blanket, but I usually have a secondary blanket because sometimes I like to sit up like this and it's layered on top. And also sometimes if I want to get some work done and it's too cold for my hands, I can do this. Alright, you can see how I have this set up right now. I have a mouse and keyboard, of course, hooked up to my computer. I still have a wireless mouse and keyboard, but they require batteries, and all my rechargeable batteries are dying right now. So I decided to give up on them and stick with some standard wired stuff. I've got a hub and a single wire running back there, which connects to my computer. I could connect it directly, but I might trip on that wire. Here is the mouse pad where I keep my water and my toilet paper and my pepper and my toothpicks. Very important. I used to use this as my mouse pad because it's Garfield and it's sweet, but it got too dirty. You know how that goes. And the other day, actually, I accidentally glued it to this, and that blackness won't come off. But that's okay, because this is just a scrap wood Kotatsu. Oh, and you can see over here, that is the power leading to it. I have it coming out of this side, so I probably won't trip on it. And yeah. So now I'm going to take the Kotatsu apart to show you how it was made. So back when I had a wireless keyboard and mouse, this was a lot easier to take this tabletop off because it just wasn't connected to anything. I could just lift the whole thing. But now I have to move the mouse and keyboard and the hub. Up here, I'm going to move the water off just for safety. And now this just lifts off. As you can see, I have this blanket sitting on it. Oh, I should turn it off probably. Have this blanket that sits in there. Now, here you'll see I have some holes in all the four corners, and that is because I guess I should just move everything off of here. On the bottom here, yeah, you can see I took some furniture feet and put them on there so that they would, there's four, because I wanted them to nestle into the holes. You can see where my previous idea of putting cleats that would slide in, that didn't work out too well because I wanted to cover most of the top of the table. But it does slide right in, and during the summer, I use this table just as it is, and you can see it's pretty solid. Use it without a blanket, of course. But it also helps keep the blanket in place. Now this is sitting on here, and it just has two bolts that hold this piece of wood in, and I could pull the heater out if I wanted to. Like that. Now you can see underneath, this is a panel heater. I'll put a link to it. It's supposed to be set up kind of like this, actually, although rotated 90 degrees, against a wall. And it's like for an under-desk heater, but since it doesn't have any air intake or anything, it just emanates heat. I figured it would be perfect for a Kotatsu. I just put some metal staples in these 2x4s here to hold it in place, and it hasn't gone anywhere. And yeah, you can see this is just 2x3 construction. Very primitive and simple. I'm going to do a much better version in the future. And actually, I'm going to make it bigger. This is kind of a standard size for a Kotatsu in Japan. I don't remember. There's a 5 centimeter difference between the tabletop and this, but it's like 75 centimeters. One of them is 75 centimeters. I think the top is 80. That's a normal size because I wanted to be able to fit a normal size blanket over it, but it's just, neither direction is it enough for me to get my legs really comfortably underneath cross-legged, which is something I want to do. You just heard my pajama pants rip more. I decided to cut them because they kept catching on my big toe, but now they catch on everything and just rip more. It was a stupid idea. I should have just rolled them up. Anyway, I wanted to be able to sit under there like that, because that would allow multiple people to sit around the Kotatsu and be comfortable. As it is, I can sit like this, and that's fine. And I also sit like this, which obviously no one else can use it if I sit like this. Not that that's a problem. It's pretty much just for my own place. But someday I'll have friends over and they won't want to sit on the floor. So that solves that problem. This heater setup works really well. The only thing that concerns me is the wire. You can see that the wire just kind of comes out, and I have it coming out of this, going this way. It works okay, but I'm always worried that someone, if I did have people over, that it would get kicked out and mess up the heater. That's probably all that would happen. It wouldn't cause a fire, I don't think. Maybe a loose connection could. So at some point I feel like I should staple this wire so that it'll just trip them. I don't know. I need to figure out a better solution. I want like a MagSafe power cord. Maybe I could fashion something like that. But anyway, if you guys want to build your own Kotatsu heater, it's very simple. Make the base and the tabletop however you like out of quality materials, not scrap wood like I have, although it works just fine this way. And this heater was like 40 bucks. Not a big deal. These heaters only use 150 watts, so they're kind of efficient. Compared to most heaters that you get, 1500 watts for a space heater. This does 150 watts and it heats a very small space, but you know that it's always warm and you have a blanket. I'm also considering getting one of those thermal blankets and adding it to this, although that wouldn't be soft. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on making your own Kotatsu, let me know. I'm not saying this is the best Kotatsu. It's certainly cheaper than the $300, $400 it would take to get one imported from Japan. And I have troubleshooted a lot of problems. Maybe you could make one better, but maybe I could, I don't know, point you in the right direction off of a mistake that I have made already. Yeah. And you can actually see, you can actually see it's just loose in here. Over here it's kind of dirty on these feet, these legs, because normally it would be quarter turned, right? But for the camera's sake, I'll do this. I put my feet up against those legs and sit like this. It works fine. I can also sit like this as long as I have a backrest. It's kind of hard to sit, straight up on with just your legs. And I sit with my legs bent a lot outside of it with the blanket draped over my knees. There's a lot of ways to sit, and it's very comfortable. Now that I've set this back up, guys, I had a few thoughts that I maybe forgot to bring up. The metal staples work fine for holding the heater in place, but I think an upgrade that I might do in the future is like a metal cooking tray that's secured on both sides, maybe in a little a rabbet in the wood, some sort of ledge. That would give me more peace of mind with it not falling down. The staples have held fine, but it doesn't feel like the most secure situation. So, thanks for watching.